What I love about this, the very first time I did the bracket, write my first book was on the list. And after 4 plus years of being on the list, ha, I finally wrote the book. And it took me less than a year to get it done from saying I'm writing the book to the book being published. Before the bracket never happened. And I continue to use this when I'm trying to figure out what's my next big project. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've used this for vacation.
Hello, everyone. Today I am here with the lovely Tiffanie Kellog. Welcome. You are the speaker in socks. Please tell us a little bit about you.
So I love working with entrepreneurs to help them have more money, more time, and more fun, which sometimes people are like, where does the socks come into play? It's definitely one of the fun components for sure. But when I'm speaking on stage, I'm typically wearing some fun and bright socks with my Converse. So I've got my socks here handy if I need to show them while we're on Zoom. Not quite the same as being in person and like, oh, here's this gal in her dress and some socks. But I don't know a lot of speakers that wear socks on stage that you can see. Like the men I know, plenty of them have really fun and cool socks. But I'm one of the only people that I know of that wear the socks very visible on the stage. And so it's kind of a branding thing for me. And it's a way to have fun.
Yes, that's such a unique way to stand out. And tell us about your mini workshop that you are going to host today. And then feel free to take the mic.
Excellent. We're going to talk today about how to get more done because entrepreneurs, business owners, people in general, especially women and moms, have a tendency to have so much that we need to get done. How are we going to do it all? And how do we begin to create balance in our world? And I'm not a huge fan of balance because, like, I love yoga. However, when I'm trying to do a tree pose or I'm not going to name all the poses because I'm not that good at yoga. But when I'm trying to do balance poses where I'm on one foot and the other in the air, it's hard work. It takes energy and effort. And so I think humans, we have this mindset nowadays. I need to create this balance. And I just think about how much work and energy it takes. 2, 3 minutes is about all I can do. And that's not easy. Versus what I love is this idea of harmony. So, harmony in music, at least, it doesn't always have to be perfect. There can be discord. It can be louder. Some instruments that play more than others, but it works together in the end. And so, my goal, my vision is to help people have that harmony in their life. And a lot of times we need a little bit more time to do it. So, I'm going to talk about how to get it done because many of us might feel a little bit like this. We're overwhelmed. There is so much going on out there in our world, in the life. Where do we even start? What do we even do? And so, one of the things that I'm a huge fan of is having a master dump list. And so, I think of this dump list as a place where anytime you have a brilliant idea, you can write it down. Because I know I get fixated, I've got to get it out of my head. And when I start writing things down, it makes a difference. So, my master dump list is very, very many pages. I think I've stopped counting. It's like 20 pages worth of content. Now, before it was a little bit like, how do I manage that? Now I just take the document and I can put it into AI and say, hey, summarize this or make this neater or put it into categories. So you can sometimes use the AI that's out there to assist you. But I have this master dump list. And this can be running for household projects, for work projects, for whatever it may be, and ongoing. Or sometimes it can be, okay, what's my dump list of all the things that I need to do today or I need to do for this project? I know I had a day and I was just like feeling overwhelmed. This gal was totally me. It's like, and I'm like, let me write down all the things that I needed to do. And before I started creating this list, I thought I had 28 hours worth of things to do. And when I got down to the nitty gritty, when I came up with my list, it was really only about 8 things that needed to be done that day. And I'm like, oh, this is going to take me about 90 minutes. And I have the whole rest of the day. What was I worried about? And so I think the first thing that we have to do is we have to begin to think about, okay, what is it that we're really working on? What is it that's most important to us? Now, it's become interesting. People often talk about priorities ending with an S. Though, if you think about priority ending with a Y, singular, what's my main focus? And so I think that in our attempt to be all, do all, especially women, even more so moms, it's like, I can do it all. I will do it all. I'll get it done. And when we can't, we're like, what's wrong with us? To me, we are trying to cram so much in. And I think sometimes we have to take a step back and say, what is my top priority? And so I'm not saying you can't have more than one focus, but really the simplicity of it makes it much easier. And when you say, for me, my priority in life, so I guess technically I have two, but I put them together, healthy and wealthy. That's my goal, healthy and wealthy. And so that does extend to many avenues. Because when it comes to healthy, like here's my mental workout that I do every morning to go along with my physical workout and the food that goes along with it. But it's kind of all under that umbrella to have that focus. And I think that when we're getting overwhelmed, when we're getting, there's so much happening, I get in this paralysis of there's too much to do. How am I going to even start? And so sometimes these to do lists can be really powerful and really helpful for us to have that focus, have that intention of what really needs to get done. Now, this is a mini workshop. If this was a full length workshop, I would be sharing with y'all today about the Ivy Lee method. And you can go to YouTube, put in Tiffanie Kellog. That's my name, Ivy Lee method. I have about a 10-minute video there that kind of walks you through what the method is, how it can work. That's a resource for you if you want to check it out. That's one of my favorite ways to get things done. However, we have to be aware that we may fall victim to BSO, bright, shiny object syndrome. This is where I have this amazing and brilliant idea, and we drop everything to go make it happen. Sometimes we finish it, sometimes we don't, but it's like it gets us distracted. And so to me, this master to do list, this master dump list that I've created is where I 99% of the time put my bright, shiny ideas down. So if it's something new, oh, that's a great idea. I should do it. I put it on my list. Every once in a while, I'll have an idea that comes to me and I'm like, okay, this really needs to be it. But you have to really evaluate, do I stop now to work on this? Or do I finish what I'm doing now? And how you figure that out, I'll tell you about in just a minute. Or do I switch? Because sometimes it's about where do I even start with all of this stuff? Though sometimes it's about what project should I finish up? So this next decision making tactic I want to share with you is good, both for figuring out what's most important and making sure you actually get it done. And here we are in February in the United States, at least, it gets us to March Madness. So, March Madness is our collegiate level big basketball tournament that happens, and there's a bracket every year. I don't actually usually watch much college basketball, but my husband every year will bring out the bracket and we'll pick the teams. So you want to have your own bracket, and it could be set up like this. I have a whiteboard here in my office. If I turn it around, so this is my whiteboard next to my. So here's my TARDIS closet. Here's my greenery, but in the middle there is my big whiteboard. So I don't usually do this tactic here on the computer. I typically do it on my whiteboard. You could do it on paper, whatever works for you. So you want to take the things on your to-do list and think, which are things that I would really like to do now, today, next. Now, I do recommend that as you're considering these things, you keep in mind time and money. So if this is a marketing project and you say, I've got 3,000 pounds to do this, that would be a consideration. What's the money investment? Let's say you're planning to DIY it. And so this is a project that you're planning to do by yourself without spending a lot of money. So you would want to make sure that you're picking projects that work with the budget that you have. and go to your master dump list, pick out those things and put them here on the list. So this was a list curated in one of my previous programs. So the program I'm pulling this from today is called 13 Months a Year. And the premise is over the 13 weeks of the program will help you save 13 hours a week, which when you multiply that times 52 weeks in the year, it gives you 676 hours, which is 28 point something days, which is like February, the month we're in now. This year is a leap year, but it's okay. And so you get an extra month. So the intention is time saving. So last time we were doing this program, these were some of the answers that the participants shared. Someone wanted to write their next book, fix the stucco cracks in their office, join the gym to be in shape, hire a sales manager, figure out what's going to be that right bookkeeping solution. They wanted to paint the office, grow a new part of the business, and clean out the closet. So these were, again, things that I pulled from participants. Your list might be a little bit more consistent in fact of, am I working on a marketing piece of my business? Am I working on a project around the house? This is actually a way we've decided on taking a vacation, which I'll come back to in a minute. Is this what I want to do with my kids, my grandkids? Can we decide what's for dinner using this process? Yes. So here's how it works. Y'all hold on quick. Because what I typically do is I say, do I want to write the next book or fix the stucco cracks? I make a decision like that. It's write the next book. Then I go to the next one, join the gym, bookkeeping solutions, grow the business. Then I go through them again, join the gym, grow the business. And then I go, my goal is I want to grow the new part of my business. And this tells me here is the project for me to work on. And what makes a difference here is we want to focus on that project to completion. Get it done because too often we start on, let me work on this book. Let me work on a website. Let me create a new social media platform. If we're doing projects around the house, I'm currently working on decluttering. So I started in my office and I'm trying to be very systematic. So I'm like, I did my desk. Good. Then I worked on my closet, but I didn't like pull everything out of my closet and make it like a huge project. I'm like one shelf at a time. Right now I'm working because I finished my office. Yay. So now I'm working on my bedroom closet and I've done like 4 drawers and now I'm tackling my 400 plus pairs of socks. That is taking a little bit longer, probably than anything else I'll ever declutter. But, it's a business thing. It's a personal thing. It's a lot of socks, changing how I fold them. Whew. But I'm not willing to go to do anything else because I really want to tackle the pantry. But I'm not starting the pantry till the socks are done. To me, you get it done and then you can decide where to go next. Sometimes people say the where to next, you can pick what came in second place. And the answer is no, you're not. Just like each year in the sports tournaments, there's a new bracket. Every time you're going back through this again, you get to create the new bracket. Now, it could be that there are some things that are staying on the bracket continuously because you really want to do them. But some of those BSOs, those bright, shiny objects, may have been like, oh, no, this does sound good after you let it sit for a week or two. I do want to come back and do that. So you can add all of those things in. Here on the screen, you've got 8. It could be 16, 32, 64. It doesn't necessarily have to be a multiple. That's just the way brackets work. If you have an odd number, one of them just gets a bye. It'll be okay. What I love about this, the very first time I did the bracket, right, my first book was on the list. And after 4+ years of being on the list, I finally wrote the book. And it took me less than a year to get it done from saying I'm writing the book to the book being published. Before the bracket never happened. And I continue to use this when I'm trying to figure out what's my next big project. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've used this for vacation. I want to say this, I'm trying to see if the year is on here. It looks like 2015. So this is when I started using the bracket. Shortly after I finished up with the book, my husband and I were discussing where do we want to go on vacation this year. And so we took all of our options and put them up on a bracket. He picked some, I picked some. We did it pretty quick. So there's not a lot of time going on. So we did have to keep in mind that we weren't comparing like $2,000 vacations to $10,000 vacations versus $100,000 vacations. We had to keep in mind or put, pounds there. Keep in mind the budget that you have with these kind of projects, but it can be a really amazing way to take a look at, okay, how do I decide what to do next and what to get done? And so I like this. A, you get way more things done. And B, you have way more or less half finished projects. And again, I'm talking mainly about business today, but I mentioned about decluttering my house. I also try to do this when I'm working. I've started to try to attempt to garden. So I try to only work on like one project at a time in the gardening. Now, that doesn't mean I can't continue my maintenance because you still have to weed and you still have to water. But when it comes to the big projects, especially getting it done using the matrix can be really powerful. Now, how do I take those bigger projects and break them down into those smaller components? Again, that's where I would recommend check out that video on YouTube, Tiffanie Kellog, Ivy Lee Method. It's one of my favorite ways that we go about it. Because for most of us, life would be less overwhelming if we had way more things that were actually done. And so, kind of as a summary of what we've talked about today, it's taking what's in your head and getting it out of your head. Because if we're not cluttered up here with all the things that we need to do, we have a little bit more opportunity to be focused and present. And I'm not even getting started on y'all. Meditation is amazing. Breath work is amazing. All of that to kind of center and be present. But get it all out of your head, the work, the projects, the things that you need to do. Take a breath. Let's figure out what we want to do, create that list of what's happening now. And then when it comes to our projects and the things that we want to make happen, because many of those will make our business better, our life better, use the matrix to help determine which is next. Do the project to completion. And so this works not only because you're completing the project, but you're not investing 2 hours on this project that you never finished, 20 hours on that project that you never finished. And as we get to the finish line, then we're able to say, yes, we get to celebrate that success and then move on to the next thing. As a task oriented gal, I definitely like to get things done and quickly, mind you. So we do have coming up in March. So starting March 18th, we have our 5 day more time challenge. So during this challenge, it's essentially about 15 or 20 minutes each day of content followed by a Q&A. I share 2 or 3 tips that are practical, make it happen right here, right now. One of which is the matrix. So you will see the matrix again, but I am going into the Ivy Lee method in detail, as well as, I guess, 10 or so other tips. So you should only have a repeat of one. This is a free challenge. It is live on Zoom. It's also live stream into the Facebook group, depending on where in the world you are, what time you are, and things of that nature. So we'll make sure that we get this in the links as well from where we are live streaming this. So if you want to come out and join us for more of that, and just be sure to put Nina, she's the podcast visibility expert. She's the one here having us. So make sure you put her name into the form when you join us. Now, as we're talking about those comments below, I would love to hear what's on your to-do list as a result of today's conversation, as well as what are your aha moments, or as I like to call them, what were your Tiffanies today? Those would be your epiphanies from Tiffany. Our goal is for you to create harmony in your life, get more done so you can have more fun. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you so much. It was so insightful. Let me see if I got this right. So, first of all, I'm going to
All
start
right.
with a brain dump, right? So, I put everything in there.
Yeah.
Do you use a project management tool? Do you use a Google Doc, or to each their own?
So I would say 100% to each their own. I have original Word document because that's what I was using for the past. I really think I'll have to look at when I created it. It was probably 2010, 11, 12 when I created the document, and I'm still using that one. Though I have switched over some of my more specific things So we're launching in April our More Abundant Entrepreneurs community officially. And so anything that has to do with that, now I have under a Google Doc. And what I love about the Google Doc is the outline form. So I can say article ideas, video idea, live stream ideas, challenge ideas. So it's a little bit more organized. I bet you there are some really amazing apps, workflow processes that are really good on this. Sometimes I like to say I'm a simple gal from Arkansas, which is kind of a country place here in the United States for those of you that are watching this outside of the US. And my theme is KISS, keep it short and simple. And so oftentimes I'm using basic tools. There may be better ones out there, but use what works for you.
Awesome. So I will brain dump. I will decide on my priority, right? Just one. But for example, if we decide on growing my biz, how much time do I give to myself? Like, what will be the time frame? How do I decide on the time frame? You can work 5 years on growing your business.
So I think it's Parkinson's law that says the work grows for the time that you have. And so a task can take you an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, or 5 years if you give it that much time. I am very big on deadlines. And so I am notorious for saying, hey, this is the date, this will be here. So my next book, which is based off of the 13-month a year program. I think I'm going to give it a new name that's a little bit more telling about what it is. The book is coming out December 4th. I haven't written a single word of the book.
But you already have actually kind of plan, right? Like
Yes.
what you should do
However,
with
this
it.
is the only way I've written any of my books. So the very first book, and I gave myself a year, the very first book, and I was working with a coach that kind of we laid out the plan. And once I have it, but so for me, I need that accountability. So I tell the world, hey, we are having our launch for our More Abundant Entrepreneur community on April 9th. I'm sorry, on April, the third week in April. We are having the book come out December 4th. And so I share that with the world, and that inspires me to get it done because I don't want to look bad. I like the first book launch party I did, I had the event, I put the deposits down, spent all the money. I was having the party whether or not there was a book launch to be had. And I didn't want to do it. And so I use that kind of accountability. The coach called it instead of ready, aim, fire, ready. And so I'll be like, it's coming. And then that way the word's out. And then I just have to work to fulfill the deadlines. I'm not saying that works for everyone. But sometimes it can be about, okay, how soon is this? What does this matter? What is our focus? So my first book I wrote on a normal pace. My second book was actually a BSO. It was a bright, shiny object. Like, I want this book. I want to have it. Is it worth it? It was one of the few projects that I set everything else aside to tackle writing that book. Now I said, I want to get it done and I want it done quickly. So because I track my time a couple of times a year, I know that my three biggest guilty pleasures, mental health kind of things are watching TV, reading fiction, and having an adult beverage, spending some time with my hubby. And so I said, I'm going to write this book. I'm still working, sleeping, well, stuff, but I don't get to do any of those three things until I'm done writing the book. And it was 10 days, and I had about 26,000 words at the end of the 10 days. Now, when I got done, I shut my laptop and I'm like, hey, honey, turn the TV on and bring me a beer. Let's watch some TV. I'm dying. But like, I was really off balance on purpose. So it was definitely some discord in the harmony, but I had that intention. And so deadlines, I think, are great, whether they're internal or you share them with the world. I'm huge on accountability partners. So I have sometimes one off accountability partners. I love WhatsApp pod groups. So we have different challenges, whether it's drink more water, do more planking, walk the dogs. And so I can find people that are doing that. So maybe it's a writing group who's written your 100 words, 500 words, 1,000 words a day. And so it's just finding those people. So I think that was a really long answer to the question. How long will it take me to do it? But I think I gave a few different options at least.
And then one final question. How deep do you go
Yes.
with this priority? Because, for example, even going to the gym could fit into growing your business, because if you are not healthy, you cannot build the wealth, right? You cannot grow the business. So, how deep do
Yeah.
you go into
So
it?
I think when I look at my priority, and this is sometimes, you can wrap it into maybe even a personal mission statement or a personal mantra. My goal is healthy and wealthy. And so everything that I'm doing in my life, I have to say, does this help me be healthy or wealthy? And if the answer is yes, then it's definitely higher on the list of let's do it. If the answer is no, I really have to think about, okay, why am I doing this? Does it really matter? And so, like, I think the gym is a great example. And I'm a big believer of if I feel better here, I function better here. To me, especially, and I'm not sure if I don't think it's as bad as in the UK as it is in the US. We have like the worst health here for first world countries. I think I was actually reading the book this morning that, yeah, we're like of the 53 first world countries when it comes to health, the US is the worst because obesity and doctors and just everything. And so if it's the priority to be healthy, going to the gym, I think should be first or second in the calendar, not if I get a chance. That being said, do I really need the 6-hour binge of Netflix? Do I really need to sleep in all day? Now, I'm not opposed to a nap or a power nap or sleeping in, but it's just kind of evaluating, does this help me work towards the vision of my life or not so much? A coach I worked with in the past, she's like, what do you want now versus what do you want most? And often it's just the decision we're facing each and every day.
That's really, really helpful. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing with us your method, and I will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.